Hello and welcome to Starting Points. I'm set up here in a room that I think is going to work out really well for me, and excited to share with you some books. I'm up to about 300 books now that I've found that I can work in with this under the larger umbrella of trees. The metaphor of that and things that are involved, food, shipbuilding, cabins, barns, furniture making, paper, lots of various subtopics, shall we call them. And right now I'm looking at trees in terms of shelter and looking at tree houses. And this time I'd like to look at tree houses that are books that teenagers would enjoy. And I learned about these books from my oldest son. He read a book when he was about 13. It was called Spider Web for Two. And he loved this book. And he read it again when he was 15 and so forth. He's read it a number of times. And I learned about it from his love of it. So when I went to look it up, I found that there's actually 4 books about this one family, and the book Spiderweb for Two is the 4th book in that series. The first book is The Saturdays, and that concerns the family when they're living in New York City, 4 children. And the father decides that he would like to get a property out in the country where they'll be with nature more. And he buys a house. And the title of that book is The 4-Story Mistake. And I'm going to read you a couple of paragraphs about the boy Rush looking for a perfect spot to build his treehouse. The next book in the series was called Then There Were 5. And the last book, well, I've already told you, Spiderweb for Two. And all of these books are just a great read. I really enjoyed them and highly recommend them. With one of my 4th and 5th grade class, I got copies of this book and we read it together. I read the narration, different students read the characters, each chapter different students reading alphabetically from a class list. And they really liked it too. So let's go back to them moving fairly recently to the country, and Rush is looking for a tree. Up in the hills, in the woods, there was an oak. Of course, there were lots of oaks, dozens of them. There were birch trees, too, with bark like torn satin, and hickory trees, and elms, and pines, and big silvery beeches that looked as if they'd been poured into molds. Thousands of trees there were, but this tree was special. Rush had been looking for the right tree for days now. It had to be tall, for one thing. It had to have widespread branches, not too near the earth, and it had to be strong. Also, it had to grow on a hill. This was it. Well, there's the tree. He's found it. And he obviously has a lot of trees he could look for. It didn't have to perhaps be an oak, but I think the spreading branches of the oak was the selling feature as much as anything. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, when I'm going to share a couple of books about tree houses for adults. Well, bye for now.